From California to Texas, the fight for control over the House and the Senate is in full swing across the country. With just 2 weeks left until the midterm elections, the president is energizing his base, while Democrats continue the push for a blue wave. To get a sense of where things stand, it's a perfect time to check in with Tamara Keith of NPR and Amy Walter of the Cook Political Report. And didn't we just see you in that report on how do you manage to be
at once?
Everywhere
crazy.
At one time? So let's talk about Tam. The president is not going to California, but he is out on the trail. He's covering as many states, it seems, as he can between now and Election Day. What's the strategy there? What do you see going on?
So I analyzed all of his general election trips, put them on a map, and he is going to either red states or states that are battleground states, will be battleground states again in 2020. Coincidence? The other thing, though, is that he is
2020, not 2018.
That would be right. He is going to generally, for the most part, he's not going to these suburban swing districts. He's not going to blue states where there are Republicans who are potentially in trouble. He is going to states and areas of states that are Trump country, where he won with a large margin, where he's favored. For instance, he went to Elko, Nevada over the weekend. Elko is not a swing part of Nevada. That is a very red part of Nevada, and he was there because this is all about firing up the base. This is all about firing up Republicans, getting them to go out and vote. It's that trip is not about winning over moderates.
So is this the way you win the midterms?
Well, he has banked from the very beginning of his presidency until now that his base is strong enough to overcome whatever the Democratic base is. They love him. They're going to turn out for him just like they did in 2016. He's replaying the 2016 campaign over and over again. What's fascinating to see in Nevada right now is you had Trump, as Tam said, up in Elko, turning out his base there. President Obama in Las Vegas, making sure that his types of voters he talked a lot about in his speech today, younger voters. Of course, you need to get Latino voters out in Nevada. In Wisconsin, we're going to have another example of what this election's all about. President Trump will be up in northern rural Ohio. Wisconsin, I'm sorry, small town Wisconsin. The president, Milwaukee.
So he's riling up
President Obama, sorry.
President Obama. But so Tam, meanwhile, new poll out today, NBC Wall Street Journal shows the president's approval rating moving up. It was 44% approval last month. It's now 47%. Is that something he can translate to Republicans running for office? I mean, can he say, here's my gift?
Here is my approval rating. It is the best it's ever been. It is still under 50%. It can't hurt. It certainly can't hurt these Republicans on the ballot to have President Trump in the best place he's been in his presidency, basically, in terms of approval. But these are a bunch of different races in a bunch of different places. And although presidential approval tends to be a relatively good indicator, it's not the only thing that determines outcomes, certainly.
But there's definitely a very strong correlation between how people feel about the president and how they're voting. And we've seen that in some of these special elections. We've seen this in the polling in these House and Senate districts. Listen, the president's stronger approval rating is really good for Republicans running in those very Trump-friendly states. This is where the Senate map begins to become very problematic for Democrats. In North Dakota, Missouri, Indiana, they have to hold all of those states, trying to pick up other red states like Tennessee and Texas. So as the president's approval rating goes up there, harder for Democrats in the Senate races. But the numbers, this to me is the most fascinating piece of this. When I compared the Wall Street Journal poll that came out this weekend with the final polls, well, it was the exit polls. I want to get into the details here, but Pew also did their own survey of the 2016 voters. When you look at where the president sits right now, he's exactly where he is in terms of the approval rating of him overall and with almost every single demographic group. For example, among men in 2016, Trump won 52% of those voters. Today, he has a 56% approval with men. With women, he won 39%. He has a 38% approval now. White voters who have a college degree, 38% approval now, won them with 38%. In other words, it's not just that it's even holding, Judy. We've gone through 2 years which have been like this.
Yeah.
And you would think, if you just looked at this data right now, that nothing has changed since 2016. So what the president's banking on is that those numbers worked in 2016, right? He had those numbers in 2016, they won. But as we noted in that previous piece from Yamiche, that's not where the battleground is this year for the House. The battleground is in the suburbs, and he's still toxic in the suburbs.
So, and 2020 is another subject. But just quickly, one of the things, Tam, the president's talking a lot about is immigration, going after not just the wall, saying we got to build a wall, but now he's going after this caravan of migrants from Central America making their way into and through Mexico toward the United States. Does this help him? How does this play as an issue?
Talk about things that haven't changed since 2016. President Trump campaigning on immigration. President Trump using some of the very same language that he used in that speech when he rolled down the escalator and said, I'm running for president, and they send not the best people, they send drug dealers. He's using the very same language now at his rallies to rile up his voters. And polling would indicate, both a Pew poll and a Kaiser Family Foundation poll, that among Republican voters, illegal immigration is an incredibly salient issue. It is their #1 issue. So he is talking to Republicans there.
Yeah, but not necessarily in the independent voters who still see the economy and healthcare as the top issues. Immigration and terrorism much lower on their list of concerns.
Some things are the same, some things have changed.
Some things are a little bit changed. And he's not running against Hillary Clinton this time. It's a referendum on Trump, not a choice.
Though he does talk about her a lot in his rallies.
Yes, he does.
He does bring her up. The clock is ticking. Amy Walter, Tamara Keith, 2 more weeks. Thank you both.
You're welcome.
Okay.